Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, was known as the Trust Buster. He saw firms with too much power as damaging to the economy and to society. The bust of the corrupt railroad trust was his biggest claim to fame. In the modern world, trusts are known as monopolies, and they are a topic of some great controversy in the wonderful world of economics. What exactly is a monopoly? Why have they been hated for so long? How do they function? Are they at all beneficial compared to other types of markets?
I wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Oh, every time I close my eyes, I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Economics USA, in which we will be discussing monopolies.
So today we are going to be discussing monopolies. What specifically are a monopoly? Well, a monopoly is the sole seller of a product, and if the product does not have any close substitutes. There are three ways a monopoly can arise. Number one is based on the monopoly's resources. If a key resource which is needed for the production of a good or service is owned by a single firm, then there's a monopoly. Number two is from government regulation. The government can give a firm the right to produce a good or service which creates a monopoly. The final way which a monopoly can arise is through the production process. This happens if a single firm can produce a lower output than a large number of producers.
Price discrimination is one way that monopolies lower deadweight loss and sell to all consumers. In price discrimination, a monopoly sells a single product at the same time at different prices to differently qualified consumers. Many movie theaters use price discrimination to sell tickets at lower prices to senior citizens and children. This makes the children and senior citizens more willing to go to the movies, increasing the monopolist's profits.
Monopolies are price makers because they don't have any competition. In perfect competition, firms sell when marginal cost equals price, but a monopoly can sell when marginal cost equals marginal revenue. This means that they can set the price higher than the cost, creating a profit. This is demonstrated by the blue area in the graph. Monopolies don't just make revenue, but they also look to maximize profits. A monopolist can maximize his profit by producing where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. When production is below this point, the monopoly can increase profits. When production is above this point, the monopoly is losing money. Monopolies are able to make a profit, though by setting price higher than its marginal cost. In order to calculate the profits a monopoly makes, simply subtract the total cost from the total revenue. Monopolies also create deadweight loss, the pink area in the graph that wouldn't be present in normal competition. Deadweight loss occurs because the monopoly raises prices, driving a wedge between what they are willing to sell for and what the consumer is willing to pay. However, they can use price discrimination to minimize deadweight loss by setting specific prices for certain customers.
Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back after this commercial interruption. Around the turn of the 20th century, William Randolph Hearst was making a name for himself in the publishing and newspaper industries. His biggest break came with yellow journalism, in which he riled up the underdogs of society against the government and big business corruption. His core goal was to gain readers, so in his newspapers he also published a lot of tabloid-like material that was ahead of its time. Almost all publications today fall under the umbrella of yellow journalism. Hearst had a monopoly over the pool of readers in the early 1900s, although his corporation was not an obvious monopoly like Google, which holds a 90% market share.
Some people seem to think that there are better options than Google to find information. So today we're going to ask people, what search engines do they use? Hi, what search engine do you use?
I always use Google.
I loved Google Docs for my projects too.
That's why Google has 90% market share. There's just simply no competition.
The government can keep the market competitive using antitrust laws, a group of statutes that keep monopolies from forming and becoming too strong. This gives the government the power to determine when a merger between two companies will give the market too much power, lowering general well-being. Antitrust laws can be damaging though. They can prevent benefits, calling synergies, which can result from a monopolistic market such as lower costs of production.
Good morning. We're here with Harvard economist and opera singer Richard Gill.
Hello.
Today we wanted to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of monopolies, both to the monopolist and to the consumer. Let's start simple. Can the creation of a monopoly be disadvantageous to the monopolist himself?
Not at all. The purpose of creating a monopoly is to maximize the company's profits. The monopolist will not create a monopoly in the first place if it produces harmful effects or consequences.
So it's very simple for monopolies to flourish in the economy. Why can monopolies make a profit so easily?
As the single seller in a market, a monopoly does not have any competition, resulting in a large pool of buyers. The consumers are forced to purchase their products due to the lack of close substitutes. The monopolist can control the price of the products, increasing their profits.
But why can't other companies just enter the market, preventing the monopoly?
Well, monopolists can hinder other entrepreneurs from entering the market due to natural barriers to entry. In these types of monopolies, other firms cannot enter the market because either the startup costs are too high or the cost structure of the market gives an advantage to the largest firm.
I see, but what about the consumer? How does a monopoly affect the buyers?
There are many disadvantages for a consumer buying from a monopoly. Monopolies purposely produce fewer goods than the equilibrium would dictate. In addition, the consumer is charged a higher price than the good would have costed in a competitive market.
Do monopolies do anything good for consumers?
There are few benefits for the consumers buying from a monopoly. Due to price discrimination, the consumer can pay an amount he or she wishes to pay. Additionally, consumers have a limited range of choices. They don't have to constantly make decisions involving brands.
I see. That was very informative. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Anytime.
Thanks for joining us this time on Economics USA. We hope that you're informed about monopolies and will join us next week for our special on Joseph Porco.